Welcome to the Real Grandma's Kitchen. In my family, I'm the one who makes all of the pies. Everybody says my pies are really great. So today I just got a whole box of peaches, so I thought I would go ahead and try making a peach pie for my family. So I want to show you a trick for how to get the fuzzy peach peel off of the peaches really quick and easy, okay? So come on over to my stove, and we have 2 peaches to finish. So you start out with boiling water, and you'll gently lower the peach into the boiling water. I'm going to take them and carefully place it in an ice bath. And I'm going to just make sure that it's kept covered by cold water for just a short period of time here. I can take them out of the ice bath, starting at the bottom here, and look how easy this just slides right off. I'm not losing any of the peach fruit. It's just the skin, and then just cut them in half. These are free stones, so a free stone means that the stone will come free very easily. It's my favorite kind of peach to get, otherwise you lose so much of the fruit. And separate it, take out the pit, and you've got a beautifully peeled peach. Let's see how easy this one goes. And there's that good old freestone. So we have 4 beautiful halves of peaches here to add to the rest of them that I've already done. Okay, let's get our pie stuff together. Pie crust doesn't have to be as difficult as what we make it out to be. I've learned that if I use my food processor, it goes pretty quick and easy with very little mess to do too. So I've started out with a 1.5 cups of flour. And then I'm going to add just a little, just a dash of salt and 1 teaspoon of sugar. And then one of the keys to making easy pie crust is take your butter, just take your knife, and we're going to make small cubes. So first cut it there, then cut it here, and then make your slices for small cubes. Just dump it in, and we'll do the other cube of butter. Put your lid on, and we're going to pulsate it just enough to get a little bit of a mix in there. Hit the sides a little bit, you don't get flour all over your kitchen. By using the pulsating, you can see here that we're already starting to get large, crumbly, a little bit larger than pea-sized pieces. So now I can add my other cup of flour. The other interesting thing about doing this way is it lowers the amount of glutens in your pie crust because the flour is already covered with butter. And so now we're just getting the rest of the flour in there, and you have less glutens. Let's take a look at it. Oh, it's perfect. I can take my fingers and I can press it and it will kind of stick together, but it just looks like fine flour with a little bit of the butter crumbles in there. You want some crumbles in your butter because that's where you get the perfect texture to a crust. The next thing we're going to do is add just enough water so that it will kind of bind together. So I'm going to start out with about 1.5 tablespoons worths. Use my pulsator. Put in another 1.5 tablespoons worth. And now we're at a point where I can pour it into this bowl and we'll finish up the batter, the dough. You notice that my ice, I just took ice cubes out of the refrigerator, added some refrigerated water. Cold water is again one of the keys. I'll just use my spatula. It's perfect. I can just go around like this and get all of the extra off of the bowl. And I'll take my little cute device, cut it in half, and now I have enough for a top crust and a bottom crust if I want to make a 2-crusted pie, or I can make a single crust pie, which is what we're going to do today. Often recipes will tell you to wrap this in plastic and put it in the refrigerator for an hour or more. But today we're going to just go ahead and roll it out. What I like to use is a pastry cloth. A pastry cloth seems to help me use less flour. I like it a lot. It doesn't stick. It's easier to work with it. One thing about a pastry cloth or any other cloth on the counter though is you have to put something moist under it or it's just going to slide all over the place when you have a marble countertop. So sprinkle just a little bit of flour on your pastry cloth and put a little bit of flour on your roller. Take your pastry from the refrigerator. I usually tap mine on both sides and wipe off the extra flour. And then you just roll it out. You continually change your directions because you want it to be round just like your pie pan is. And sometimes when you're rolling you get off a little bit and it's okay. You can kind of roll it around. This is just dough. I'm putting an even amount of pressure on my rolling pin no matter what direction I go in so that the sides and everything are even. And I bring it all the way out to the side, but I don't push the side down where it gets real thin on the very edge. And to see if I'm good enough, I'm going to take my pie plate, turn it upside down. It's not quite large enough, almost. Now looking at this dough, you can see little pieces of butter. See those little markings there, just a little bit different coloration? That's going to tell me that my pie crust is going to be flaky, buttery, and just delicious. Okay, carefully with your fingers, you fold it a little bit more, put your pie pan there, lift it up, and then you pick up this other side and just place it. So it really just takes careful hands is all it does. If the dough tears, it's not a problem. You just kind of crease it on itself. And then I'm going to just real gently, with the back of my finger, lift up the dough a little bit. Make sure this is pretty deep dish. Make sure that I'm getting all the way to the bottom. And our dough is there. See here where it's folded? Not a problem, look. I'm just pushing it down with my fingers. And now we don't have a pleat there anymore. There's the pie dough. Getting it ready for the pie, I'm going to make a single crust. I like to elevate mine. It's too hard to bend over and look at it. You get a backache. So I use an oatmeal box and just set it up there. It gives a nice broad base. And grab my kitchen scissors and I'm going to trim the crust so that it's a little bit longer than the edge. There's the edge and I'm going to trim it so that it's approximately an inch longer than the edge all the way around. When I was a little girl, my mom used to take these extra pieces of dough and she'd put a little bit of butter and cinnamon sugar on them and cook them in the oven. They were like little cookies. We used to just love our pie dough cookies. And if you have children, that's something that you can have them do, is they can make their own little pie dough cookies. We want to get them in the kitchen, boys and girls, as young as they can, with their attention span, safely work in the kitchen. It's good for them. Okay. Then I'm going to take the dough, I'm going to kind of curl it under. See, put my finger under there, take it and curl it under so that there's a little roll of dough all the way around. See how handy that oatmeal box is? And I'm kind of pressing it together a little bit. So when you see a pie crust and it's all cute and fluted and pinched and all of those things, they've done this to do that. If I had a 2-layer pie, I'd wait to do this till I have the upper crust, and then together we would get the crust together. And one more step, you want to flute it. I could take a fork and press down. I just take it and pinch it. About even all the way around. I'm just pinching the dough together without my fingernails breaking the dough. Use the flesh of your fingers. Voila! Perfectly made pie crust. It's completely even. The sides are even in there. And now I'm ready to put my fruit inside and put it in the oven. We'll finish slicing up these peaches here. So this is a pretty deep dish, and so what I'm putting in 8 nice sized peaches to fill the dish. And I'm just slicing them in a nice bite size. So here's the fruit. I'm going to take a mixture of brown sugar, regular sugar, a little bit of cornstarch, cinnamon, and nutmeg, and sprinkle it over the peaches, and we'll kind of gently mix that in. Peaches are very liquid, so it's important to have that cornstarch or you'll have too much liquid. And then we'll take 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and that will help bring out the wonderful peach flavor in this pie. And just pour it over the top. One more quick little mix. I think I'd rather use my hands. And then we're going to just pour it right into our pie dish here. Just kind of fit them so that they fit neatly into the pie pan. I always like to make a little fuller pie. Last but not least, we make the crumb topping. It's really delicious this way. So the first thing I do is I'm going to take a cube of butter, and then I've mixed my my powder ingredients already. I have flour, brown sugar, white sugar, and then cinnamon and nutmeg. And I put a little extra cinnamon in just because that's our family. And for a little crunch, I like to put a little oatmeal in. And then either with something like this little fork here, or with a smaller fork, or with a pastry cutter, we want to mix the ingredients until they're just mixed up and more of a crunchy, flaky texture. I like this little tool because it looks like fingers, but I think this time I'm going to use my real fingers. And I'm just kind of pushing it together and fluffing it, and push it together and fluff it until all my ingredients are mixed. You see how that feels and looks? It's just like a crumbly pebble almost. And then I'm going to just take it and sprinkle it along the top of the pie. Kind of keep it as even as I can. Okay, I think that that's covered everything pretty well. So I set my oven to 375, and I'll put it in. We'll put it on that middle shelf, right in the middle. This is going to be a juicy pie. You might notice on the bottom of the oven, there's one of those oven mats. It'll catch all of the juices that flow out of the pie, and then I can clean it really easily. Okay, we'll see in about 35 minutes. We'll check on the pie. So I think it's time. The pie smells done. It's just delicious here. We'll open it up. Oh yes, I can tell it's done. The reason I can tell it's done, I'm gonna hit cancel, is first of all, it's spilling over in the bottom of the oven because the juices have come to a boil. And the crust is a golden brown. Everything looks 100% perfect. It's bubbling all the way around. We'll take this delicious pie out. I'm going to put it on my beautiful cutting board that my son made for me. And we'll try this in just a little while. Look at how beautiful it is. You should see juice all the way around bubbling, and it is. The crumbly crust is slightly done on the top, and the crust is golden brown, perfectly made. Well, I think the pie is cool enough, and I think we ought to taste it just to see how lovely it is. Now, one thing about a fruit pie, it's always better the next day. But let's see how this one is, okay? So I'm going to cut a nice little piece here. It's perfect. The crust is a little bit crispy, just like it should be. The first piece out always, you know. We kind of have an argument at my house about who gets it because they get all the stuff that falls out. That's lovely. So here we are. We have our peach pie. You see your slices of peach, your gelled juice, and of course that crispy crunch that we have on the top. This is so delicious. If you want, you could put a little dollop of whipped cream or ice cream, or just eat it this way. It is so good, it's just making my mouth water. I enjoyed my time with you, and I'll look forward to seeing you again. Till next time.